Leicester has always been an extraordinary city, which has supported extraordinary people who have had extraordinary impact. Alec Jeffreys arrived in Leicester in the late 1970s and spent the whole of his career here. In 1984, in a lab at the University of Leicester, he discovered DNA fingerprinting, which has since revolutionised identification and crime detection.
I think the best way of describing me is words from a good friend of mine, Bob Williamson, when I received the Australia Prize in Canberra. And he stood up on my family's behalf and said a few nice words about me. And he said, Alec is just a perfectly ordinary guy who happens to have done something extraordinary. That's a good summary. The discovery of DNA fingerprinting was a glorious accident, and nobody believes me. And that was a moment that changed my life. It was after a lot of false starts, completely by accident, we came up with our very first DNA fingerprint. We could see a smudgy bit of X-ray film with the sort of barcode-like patterns on it. So here was not just something for human identification, this was something for identification.
Morton was one of the founding members of the Leicester Caribbean Carnival, one of the largest multicultural events in the Midlands, bringing communities together for the last 35 years.
The Carnival has done a lot for Leicester. It's a way of letting our young people know their history, letting them know where they came from, how we come to be here. So 1984, 150 years since the emancipation of British slaves in the British Caribbean islands, we got together and we thought the carnival will be in 1985. And that was our first carnival. And we encourage our young people to know about their history. We have to live with each other, be kind to each other, and take care of each other.
Nilesh Samadhi is a professor of cardiology who came to Leicester with his family at the age of 15. He's become one of the leading heart specialists in the world and been instrumental in finding genes that are associated with a greater risk of heart attack.
So my work is really focused on the commonest reason people die, which is heart attacks. For the last 20 years, we've had the opportunity, really, because of new technology, to unravel the inherited cause of heart disease. There are two implications for this. The first is that by knowing some of the genes, you can think about new treatments or develop new treatments as a consequence. And the other important thing is that you might use the genetic information to identify people at risk much earlier in life, before the disease process starts to take grip, so you can apply preventative measures and prevent them getting the heart attacks in the first place. Leicester has been home for over 50 years. The hospital is one of the leading heart centres in the country, if not internationally. And of course the community, which have really embraced what we do here. An example of that is our building of the Cardiovascular Research Centre at Lenfield, about 10 years ago. We got enormous support from the community in Leicester to build it. Without them, it would not have been possible. So Leicester has really been a fantastic place for me to be in.
Byron Dixon grew up on the St Matthew's estate in Leicester. After completing a degree in chemistry, he founded his own business, Microfresh, which produces antibacterial coatings for use in everyday products. Microfresh is now a global business.
My work is Microfresh. So what we do is we formulated a product to stop mould growing on leather. Technically, it stops bacteria growing. So two things are, it stops odours, and it stops pathogenic bacteria. In healthcare, it means that surfaces and bedding and curtains, bacteria cannot grow, which will reduce hospital-acquired infections. The second impact is we stop odours. Odours are caused by bacteria. Two reasons why shoes are thrown away is because kids grow out of them or they start to smell. So if we can stop them smelling, we'll reduce landfill and make the parents' purse go further. I went to a local school here. So in our school we had all races, all religions, and we were all together. So I think Leicester's given me a vision that we can all work together, and our business reflects that, our staff reflects that, and my willingness to embrace other cultures, I think, comes from growing up in Leicester.
David Attenborough's 70-year career was inspired by his childhood spent growing up at the University of Leicester, where his father was the first principal. From hunting fossils at Bradgate Park, visiting Newark Museum, and selling newts to the university's zoology department, his childhood in Leicester led him to become a world-famous educationalist.
I think my father did think that I had remained true to the traditions that motivated him, in that education and knowledge was the right and inheritance of every kind and class of people, and that their lives were enriched the greater their education, and that everybody should have access to it, and that television, properly used, could provide just that. And that was in the area in which I was working. And so I think he approved of what I did.
Leicester is an extraordinary city where extraordinary people achieve extraordinary things.